Welcome to Headline Hub Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The headline was clear: U.S. wheat in crisis. It was a warning, not just a story, echoing across the heartland. Canada captures key markets. The competition was fierce, and the consequences were immediate. For John Miller, a Kansas farmer, those words hit hard. They weren't just headlines, they were a personal blow. He stood in his golden wheat field, the harvest ready, but the grain elevator silent. The air was thick with uncertainty. The phone, once busy with buyers and brokers, was now quiet. No calls, no offers, just silence. This wasn't a bad crop or poor weather. It was a collapse in demand, a market gone cold overnight. His wheat, once prized and sought after, was suddenly unwanted. The value of his hard work seemed to vanish. The contracts he relied on vanished. Promises made in better times were now just empty pages. Across the heartland, farmers faced the same reality. The world market had moved on, leaving them behind. Grain elevators stood still, logistics slowed, and the usual harvest bustle faded into uneasy quiet. The machinery of rural life ground to a halt. The silence was more than a lack of noise, it was a broken promise, a future put on hold. Rural communities felt the uncertainty. Streets were emptier and hope was harder to find. Conversations shifted from crop prices to survival. Neighbors leaned on each other, searching for answers. Neighbors sold equipment, took second jobs, and wondered if farming would ever be the same. This was more than economics, it was a crisis of identity, a test of resilience and tradition. Farmers, once pillars of their communities and global food suppliers, now felt rejected, their purpose questioned. The world seemed to say it no longer needed what they offered. The sense of belonging was slipping away. The silent fields reflected a painful shift in the global food chain, a change that felt deeply personal. The sense of abundance was replaced by fear of failure. Anxiety grew with every passing day. The legacy of generations was suddenly at risk. Years of hard work and hope now hung in the balance. The American heartland was left waiting for answers, holding on to hope as the sun set over the silent fields. John Miller did everything right. He invested in modern equipment, adopted sustainable practices, and grew top-quality wheat that met every standard. He worked long hours, always striving to improve his yield and protect his land for the next generation. Yet every call to the cooperative ended the same. "We're full, John. Buyers aren't interested." The words stung more each time, echoing through his empty office. There was no clear reason, no fix, just silence and mounting frustration. The familiar negotiation dance was gone. Emails and calls went unanswered, leaving John in a void of uncertainty. It felt like being ghosted by a trusted partner. Rumors filled the void. Whispers and speculation replaced facts. Mexico's buying from Canada now. Asia rejected a shipment. Each rumor added to the anxiety. This wasn't just John's problem. It was nationwide, affecting farmers in every wheat-producing region. Grain elevators, once symbols of strength and prosperity, now overflowed with unsold grain. Their capacity stretched to the limit. The supply chain was broken, not by production, but by lost demand. Wheat sat idle, waiting for buyers who never came. Lost contracts meant more than lost money. They were broken relationships, years of trust suddenly erased. For decades, U.S. farmers built trust with millers and bakers worldwide, forging connections that spanned continents. These weren't just transactions, they were partnerships, friendships, and shared dreams of feeding the world. Now, those ties were dissolving, leaving behind uncertainty and loss. The silence from buyers signaled they'd found someone more reliable, someone who could fill the gap. For American farmers, this was more than economic loss. It was a blow to pride and purpose. The rejection was personal, cutting deep into their sense of identity. The sense of feeding the world was slipping away, replaced by doubt and fear for the future. The crisis was systemic, touching every wheat-producing state. The uncertainty was suffocating, leaving farmers searching for answers. The future of American farming hung in the balance. The silence spoke volumes, echoing across empty fields and quiet towns. The crisis ripples through the entire U.S. agricultural system, touching every corner of the heartland and beyond. Wheat's journey, from field to elevator, rail to port, has slowed at every step, with bottlenecks and delays becoming the new normal for farmers and shippers alike. Rail lines are quiet, port workers see fewer ships, and the supply chain feels the squeeze as uncertainty grows. This isn't a local problem, it's national, with international roots that reach far beyond American soil. The U.S. wheat brand, once a symbol of quality and dependability, now faces doubts about its reliability and consistency. International buyers can't afford delays or paperwork issues, as their own supply chains depend on timely deliveries. They need certainty, and they're finding it elsewhere, turning to competitors who can guarantee prompt shipments. The silence in rural towns signals economic decline, as businesses shutter and opportunities dry up. Farmers stop buying equipment, local businesses suffer, and young people leave in search of better prospects. The heartland is hollowing out, losing not just people, but its sense of purpose and vitality. Lost contracts are proof. Mexican millers now split orders with Canada, hedging their bets for security. South Korean noodle makers sign with Canadian suppliers, shifting their loyalty and dollars northward. These aren't isolated cases, they're part of a growing trend that threatens America's agricultural dominance. The global market is fiercely competitive, and U.S. wheat is steadily losing ground to rivals. The consequences stretch from the fields to the coasts, impacting every community along the way. The economic lifeblood of rural America is at risk, threatening the future of entire regions. The system isn't failing in production, but in trust and delivery, two pillars of global trade. The world's confidence in U.S. wheat is fading, replaced by skepticism and caution. The impact is felt in every link of the chain, from the farm gate to the global marketplace. The challenge is clear: regain reliability or risk losing relevance in a rapidly changing world. The stakes have never been higher for America's farmers, exporters, and rural communities. The paradox is painful. American farmers grow some of the world's best wheat. The grain passes every test, but the problem isn't quality, it's reputation. Delays, paperwork errors, and poor communication have chipped away at trust. Each small incident adds up, creating a pattern of unreliability. Buyers want certainty, not just good wheat. A late shipment can shut down a bakery and cost thousands. Even if U.S. wheat is cheaper, the risk isn't worth it. Buyers pay more for reliability, and Canada delivers. The silence from buyers is a rational business decision. They're not punishing U.S. farmers, they're avoiding risk. The trust built over decades has eroded, incident by incident. Rebuilding it is harder than growing a good crop. The focus must shift from just quality to seamless delivery. The customer experience matters as much as the product. The U.S. must become a partner, not just a supplier. The world is watching and choosing reliability. The path forward starts with restoring trust. The future depends on it. Not long ago, USA on a wheat bag was the global gold standard. American wheat dominated markets with trusted quality and efficient delivery. Buyers from Tokyo to Cairo relied on the U.S. grading system and logistics. Export relationships lasted generations, built on confidence and partnership. The process was smooth. Contracts signed, rail cars scheduled, ships loaded. The USDA's inspection service gave buyers peace of mind. Disputes were rare and resolved quickly. American wheat was the benchmark for quality and reliability. This dominance bred a sense of security, and maybe complacency. The focus stayed on production, not evolving customer needs. The trust that built the industry was taken for granted. The shift away from U.S. wheat was gradual, a slow build of small problems. Minor delays and paperwork issues became frequent. Buyers started testing Canadian suppliers as backups. Market share quietly shifted north. Then bigger problems hit. Rejected shipments, regulatory confusion, and communication breakdowns. News of rejected U.S. wheat spread fast, damaging reputation. New rules and unclear standards frustrated buyers. The once smooth process became bureaucratic and unreliable. Buyers spent more time managing risk than buying wheat. The U.S. grip on the market loosened, one incident at a time. The global shift is clear in the choices of major wheat importers. Mexico, once loyal to U.S. wheat, turned to Canada for reliable ocean delivery. In Asia, South Korea and Japan needed consistency. Canada delivered on time with clean paperwork. U.S. delays and contamination fears pushed them north. The Philippines, facing U.S. shipping uncertainty, found Canadian exporters more responsive and transparent. Customer service became a powerful advantage. In Europe, strict regulations made U.S. wheat a challenge. Canada's clear certification and non-GMO programs made it the safer choice. In every case, buyers chose reliability over price. The shift wasn't about cost, it was about peace of mind. Decades of loyalty were broken by logistical failures. Canada's focus on customer experience paid off. U.S. wheat lost ground not on quality but on trust. The market's message was clear: reliability wins. The U.S. must adapt or continue to lose share. The world's wheat buyers have moved on. Canada's rise isn't luck, it's strategy. While the US relied on its legacy, Canada invested in logistics and customer service. The Canadian rail and port systems proved more predictable. Vancouver's port earned a reputation for efficiency and fewer disruptions. Standardized paperwork and clear oversight reduced customs headaches. On-time delivery became Canada's calling card. Buyers could run leaner inventories, saving money and stress. Canadian suppliers adopted a customer-first mindset. They communicated proactively and solved problems quickly. International buyers felt valued, not just sold to. Canada sold not just wheat but a promise of reliability. That promise won market share from the US in global trade. Trust is everything. For farmers like John Miller, the pain is real. Prices drop, storage fills, and hope fades. The financial strain threatens family farms and rural communities. Pride and purpose are shaken as the world turns away. The crisis accelerates rural decline. Businesses close, young people leave, and communities unravel. The wheat market loss is a social crisis, not just an agricultural one. To recover, the US must rebuild its brand, starting with honesty. The problem isn't quality but reliability. A national effort is needed. Farmers, railroads, ports, and government must modernize the supply chain. Communication with buyers must be transparent and proactive. The goal: make the US the world's most reliable wheat supplier. It's a long road, but trust can be rebuilt. The future of American wheat depends on it. The silent fields are waiting for change.